everyone, and welcome back to another video at my YouTube channel and blog. Today I am playing with my alcohol inks. I've actually had this video filmed for quite a while, but I've been really busy with the renovations on the house, and I just haven't had time to edit and voiceover for it. So now we'll get started, and I've got two cards to share with you. So the first one I'm using some blues and greens. They're called Stream, Wild Plum, Pistachio, and Butterscotch, I believe I'm using on, oh no, not Coral too. Anyway, I'll have everything linked in the video description below and over on my blog. And I kind of think I went a little too heavy-handed with the alcohol inks. And then when I added the blending solution, I muddied it up a bit. So I would probably not go quite as far. And then I did not wait long enough for it to dry. So I had to fix that little corner there where I tried to put the foil down. Basically, you want to let it dry long enough where the big areas are dry, and then the areas where the two colors converge are still a little tacky. And that's what your foil will stick to, is those tacky areas, and it just really creates this really pretty veining with the foil. So I used gold foil on this color combination of the inks, and I just rubbed it around until I got all the areas that were still tacky covered with the gold foil. And my bone folder was a great tool to use to rub that on. I really love this Teflon bone folder. It's so awesome. It's so smooth. It's just really great. And so there you can kind of see the gold foil shining in the light. Okay, so for my next group, I'm using fewer colors of inks there. I think this one is the pistachio, the butterscotch, and the dandelion. And I'm just using these three colors of inks and then the blending solution. And I try not to get as carried away with the ink, but I think I did anyway. But I think it all turned out pretty good in the end, though. I just kept working with it until I got the color intensity that I wanted, and it really looked pretty in the end. But you got to be patient to let it dry, to let it move and let it do its thing. And so here I'm just dropping in some of the blending solution, and it's really kind of cool to see it change and fast forward. This is 4 times regular speed, so it's kind of cool to see it change in the fast forward motion. So again, I just let it dry until the veining areas were tacky, and here's what that looks like. I used a combination of gold and green ink, deco foil on that one, and then just the gold foil on this one right here. So that's a look at my two sheets, and so now I'm going to do some die cutting. Add out my little sidekick here. I just love this little thing. It adheres great to my craft mat and stays really sturdy in place, and it's very easy to roll it through. So with these little dies, this is a really great thing that you can just have on top of your desk, and it doesn't take up a bunch of space, and it's easy to move around. My card base is out of Neenah 110 pound solar white, and so just prepping that, and I'm using the floral pattern paper from Carta Spring Market. It came in a Simon Says stamp card kit about 3 months ago, I believe, and it just had such really pretty papers. I thought the floral patterns went really well with the butterflies and everything. And the dies that I used to cut this out is the Lawn Fawn butterfly, pop-up butterfly die, and it has 2 sets of 3 different butterflies. There's a set that totally cuts out the butterfly, and then there's a set that will just pop them up out of paper. So this is the totally cut out butterflies, and then I cut out their little bodies from some Simon Says stamp cobblestone or fog, I'm not sure. I think it's the cobblestone, their cardstock. And this is the Simon Says Stamp Scripty Heart die. It comes with the scripty word and then the shadow layer for it. And so I just used some of my alcohol ink paper to cut out the scripty part, and then I'm using some green, I think this is green apple from Simon. I grabbed some scraps out of my Simon Says scrap bucket, and so that's why I'm kind of not exactly sure which one it was, because it was out of my scraps. I love using scraps for little things like this. It makes me feel frugal. So just using some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to get those adhered together. And then I cut out a couple of different sets of the little butterfly bodies, and because I wanted to give it a little bit of weight. They are very small and a little fiddly, but I managed to get them all stuck together, and then I will adhere them to the butterfly bodies. That was probably the most time-consuming part of this, was gluing together those butterfly bodies. Alright, so now I got those all glued together, and I'm just going to work on my layout here and get everything kind of put where I want it. And then I'll start with gluing down the word heart and just using more of that Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I really like that adhesive. It's one of my go-to favorites now. And so here I bent the butterfly body on, or wings on the scores that the die creates when you cut it out, and just put the glue on the body part. And then I'll stick them all down. And this little stamp set is called Take Heart, and I'm going to use this for the sentiment on the inside of my card. And I'm going to get out my Tim Holtz stamp platform. I've been going back and forth between the MISTI and the stamp platform, trying to decide, which works better for me. They're both really about the same. I like bigger cards, so the fact that the Tim Holtz stamp platform does not have but just two edges, it allows for bigger material just to hang off the other edges. I'm using cobblestone ink by Simon to stamp my sentiment down, and you saw I was just counting the squares, making sure I had it in the center. So that's a great thing about using a stamp positioner, is it's much easier to get things lined up straight and centered. And then I used Simon Says Stamp Lakeshore ink to stamp that other image out of that same stamp set, Take Heart. And I'm adding Nuvo Drops in Morning Dew to finish off the outside of the card. So my next card is taking the other set of 3 butterfly dies, which are the pop-out ones, and this piece of Neenah 80-pound solar white, and I just put the butterflies on there in a random pattern, like they were just flying around in a little group, and die cut them out. And then again it scores next to the body, the wings next to the body, so you can fold it up. And so I did that so I could easily tell where all the little butterflies was and took my Tombow mono adhesive and ran it around, and so I had good adhesion all around my butterflies, because I wanted it to stick good around the butterfly, so when I pop it up that you can see all that gorgeous alcohol ink paper underneath that I worked so very hard on. So then I took the Together stamp set and I used the word together. Thought that went well with all the cute little butterflies, that they're all together. Stamp that on the front of the card here with Simon Cobblestone ink again. And first time I ever inked it up, so I inked it up once, stamped it off, and then I inked it up again, make sure I inked it up really well. And so again, I'm going to fill it with all the little butterfly bodies and get those adhered in place. This time I'm using my glue pen. It puts out a bit of a finer line of glue, and so it worked a little bit better with these little tiny butterfly bodies. So here I'm taking some, I can't it's again, Simon says cardstock, but the name escapes me because I don't have all my names written down for all the different colors that I have collected. But I thought that just made a really pretty border, that burnt orange kind of color. For the inside of the card, I am using the Anything Is Possible from that Together stamp set to go along with the Together on the front. And from the Beautiful Day stamp set, I'm using this gorgeous butterfly, and I'm stamping it in Simon's Orange Slush ink. I thought that went really well with that orange paper I used on the outside. And then the little trail, I'm using cobblestone ink again. And the sentiment I will ink up in the cobblestone ink as well. I had a little bloop there with my trail, and I'll just clean that up with a Signo Uniball pen. So now I'm taking the Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen, and I'm just putting a good coat of shimmer on all those beautiful little butterflies. And here you'll see I'm going to clean up that little spot where I had that little oopsie there. And on the outside of this card, I added Nuvo drops in bottle green, orange marmalade, and bright gold. So that finishes up the cards for today. Here's some final looks at the cards. I appreciate you stopping by. Please check out my blog post for video links to all the products used today. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you soon in the next video.